Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, Review Guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video, and in this one I'm going to be covering the new Kim Petras album entitled Clarity. So Kim Petras is a German singer-songwriter currently based in Los Angeles. She dropped some pretty popular and successful tracks a couple years back and was one of the supporting acts for Troye Sivan's Bloom tour for his record Bloom. She also released an EP in the previous year, which was released on her own record label, BunHead, where this record can be found as well, and this is her first, full-length album. It's 12 tracks, 38 minutes, and right off the bat I can say it's one of the more interesting pop albums that I have heard this year. It's not extremely experimental or abstract or anything like that, but I do think that the way that Kim approaches these tracks with this badass feel, with this I don't care what you think of me feel, this sometimes this cold delivery, and just this overall swagger to her vibrato and the way that she portrays herself, it just makes these tracks a lot more enjoyable than they maybe would be if they were done by someone else. The production is just as very well and pristinely produced as any other contemporary pop album, but there is something that sets it a little bit apart, and that's just overall the beat choices, the instrumental choices, which I think gives a lot of these tracks a lot more life than they maybe could have. Clarity, the self-titled opener, is only 2 minutes long, and I think that the kind of trap pop glistening beat hybrid mix isn't as lavish as some of the other beats that you can find on this record, and even though Kim still does have her natural swagger on the mic, I don't think that it's as fireworks as some of the other tracks on the record. It's kind of playful and badass, and it's obviously just a vibe to get you into the record. It's fairly short. It's a positive way of giving you an idea of what you're going to get as you're going to progress through this record, even if it's not the most just best track. I See, on the other hand, is my favorite track on the entire record. I can't get it out of my head. It features the low-tuned trap mixed with background embellishments that you get from a Charlie XCX mixed with the ice-cold bad bitch delivery of a 2000s-era Christina Aguilera. The chorus resonates insanely well, and while the chorus does soar, the verses just go back to that kind of glacial feel, that kind of low feel. I think sometimes on this record, her verses, choruses, and bridges are a little bit disproportionate when it comes to the transition effect, like when they're going from one to the other. It just feels a little bit unintentionally out of place at times, but I think this track is a prime example that beneath the surface Kim is just a really solid songwriter that can write some really good songs when she puts her mind to it and puts her own performance on it, and the beat doesn't really take anything away. Trust me, it's very simple but very effective. Got My Number is once again the Christina Aguilera mixed with Charlie XCX. It also has some touches of some of the most sensual kind of electro slip and slide pop trap bangers that came out in the early to mid 2010s, and while it is one of the more straightforward tracks on the album, I don't sell it short because it's still pretty enjoyable. Sweet Spot's probably one of my least favorite tracks on the album. The lyricism isn't as punchy as it necessarily could be, and I think some of the way the reverb and autotune is put on her vocals, it can be a little off-putting, and some of the mixing on this track is overall a little bit annoying. The beat kind of sounds like just a typical Daft Punk-esque dance pop beat. Pretty basic, pretty repetitive, just your average dance pop beat. And then you have Personal Hell, which is just about as 2000s era pop diva as you can possibly get, and once again, while Christina Aguilera is a pretty good comparison, I would compare it more to the delivery of Britney Spears on her album In the Zone, minus a little bit of the nasal. And the rest of the record has some strong hits and strong misses. Broken is a straightforward pop trap backed track. That was a tongue twister. The true standout on this track, though, has to be Kim's delivery as well as her lyricism, especially on the first verse. She sounds so genuinely hurt, but still empowered, and it doesn't sound like she takes a breath the entire verse. I don't know if that's mixing magic or if she genuinely just has that good of breath control, but it's really good. I mean, it has me convinced at least. I would like to read this one verse because I think it's just very cleverly worded while still being blunt and straight to the point to where it's not super cryptic, which I think is what makes pop enjoyable a lot of times. You cut me open, I cried oceans. All I wanted was devotion. I got nothing. Hope you happy with your new bitch. How you livin'? I'm in Paris and Marc Jacobs. Life's amazing. When she'd leave you for your best friend, that shit karma. When you see me with my new dude, that's a come up. Yeah, you used to have the baddest, looking lavish, dipped in carrots, only want me back when you can't have me. And I think that's a testament to how Kim is just straightforward and blunt with resonance and never lose sight of that. And even though it can feel sometimes tropish and cliche, it definitely hits more than it misses. But when it misses, it can miss hard, but it doesn't miss that much. And that's more than I can say for a lot of other just overmodulated, overproduced, contemporary pop rap tracks that just feel very devoid of all emotion and life. All I Do Is Cry, Do Me, and Meet the Parents are pretty okay near the latter half. I think the record does suffer a little bit from latter half boredom at times. I think All I Do Is Cry is by far the standout of the three, especially because of the beat and delivery, although I do wish the drop would have been a little bit better. I think the next standout, though, is the track Another One. It's this really smooth, low-key R&B track that gives me the impression that she's maybe inspired by some lo-fi artist, even if it's subtle. And Blow It All is also a really good track near the end. It has these guitars that kind of get swallowed by this very pretty pop beat. The way it just kind of swells up and down adds this nice emotional quality to her delivery, and I like the fact that on the chorus, the reverb is turned up on her vocals, but on the verses, it's turned down. I think it gives this nice cohesion to the track as it flows along. The bridge also does a good job of building up the feel, especially with some of those kind of floating background vocals, and besides Icy, this is probably my second favorite track on the record. And Shining, it ends the album off pretty decently. I kind of was afraid that she wasn't going to be able to hit the landing, and to some degree I think she maybe didn't, because it's not really unlike a lot of the other pop, trap, dance pop hybrid beats that you get on some of the worst tracks on this record. Her delivery is sweet per usual, and there are some pretty clever quotables, such as like, you don't need a parachute if you know how to fly. I mean, it's a decent self-affirming track. It's alright. So yeah, Kim Petras, Clarity. What am I feeling about this record? It's a little bit of a conundrum, but there's definitely more hits than misses on this record. It's not the most perfect pop record I've heard this year, but it's definitely one of my favorite pop records I've heard this year, and I definitely suggest trying it out because it's fairly short enough to where if you like it, you're going to like it, and if you don't, you can pretty much get out of it before you waste too much time with it. I do suggest checking this record out because I do think it's one of the better produced and performed and beat-oriented pop trap albums that you're going to hear this year. I'm going to be giving this album a 7 out of 10, and that is a wrap. Please stay for the end screen of links and videos that you might be interested in. Have you heard this new Kim Petras album, Clarity? If you have, you can let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel here, like this video if you enjoyed it, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. My name is Jay Morse, Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.